If I could grab myself by the shoulders and yell one thing about Bitcoin, it wouldn't be buy more, it wouldn't be sell at the top, it wouldn't even be hodl. It would be this: you are not ready for what's coming. And if you don't learn this lesson now, you're going to lose forever. Because no one told me the truth about Bitcoin. The influencers gave hype, the media gave fear, and even people who have been in Bitcoin for years kept this one thing quiet. It's the reason 90% of the new investors end up broke or walking away too soon. And it's the reason a tiny group of people build generational wealth while everyone else calls them lucky. I had to learn it the hard way. It cost me a lot of money, opportunities and years of progress. So in this video I'm going to rip the cover of that truth and show you exactly the painful mistakes I made that nearly pushed me out of Bitcoin forever. The harsh reality that veteran Bitcoiners understand but rarely say out loud, how I completely rebuilt my strategy around it, and why missing this lesson is the easiest way to hand your future over to someone else. By the end, you won't see Bitcoin the same way. Before we get going, just a quick disclaimer: this isn't financial advice. I'm not telling you what to buy or sell. I'm just sharing what I'm personally doing and what I've learned along the way. I'm showing you my approach, not prescribing yours. Now, that out of the way, let's get into it. When I bought my first Bitcoin, it felt like a big moment. I've done my research, or at least I thought I had. I bought at a price that seemed safe. Then, a few weeks later, it dropped 25%. Suddenly, my smart buy didn't feel so smart anymore. Fear kicked in. I thought, what if it keeps dropping? What if I lose everything? So I sold. A couple of months later, the price bounced back and shot even higher. I told myself I would buy again on the next dip. The dip came, but I hesitated. What if this isn't the bottom? I'll wait a little bit longer. And again, the price ran higher without me. That was my first painful Bitcoin lesson. Without conviction and a plan, you'll keep buying and selling at the wrong times. So here is the lesson I wish I would have been told right at the start. The hardest part about Bitcoin isn't buying, it's holding. Anyone can press buy, but holding it through 50% drawdowns, through terrifying headlines, through friends telling you you're insane, that's the real test. The volatility isn't the enemy, your emotions are. Now, after my early mistakes, I started looking for people who would have been in Bitcoin far longer than me. People who had held through multiple bull and bear markets. And when I asked them how they managed it, I noticed a pattern. They didn't obsess over short-term price. They had clear reasons for holding beyond number go up. They weren't trying to time the market. They just kept accumulating and refused to sell their core position. One told me, your job isn't to outsmart Bitcoin. Your job is to survive it. That line hit me hard because I realized my entire approach was the opposite. I was trying to be smarter than the market, and it had cost me a lot of money and everything. So once I understood the real challenge, I changed my whole strategy. Here is exactly what I'm doing right now. Automatic dollar cost average buys. I buy Bitcoin every single week, no matter the price. Self-custody. My core stack is in a hardware wallet. No one else can touch it. Now, I also have a core versus a flex stack. My core stack, as I said, I will never sell, but my small flex stack is for spending or emergencies. No daily price checking is also what I'm doing. I don't need to stress. I focus on the long-term chart. Now the final bit is, I think, in my goals in sats and not in coins. I think thinking in satoshis keeps me motivated even with small buys. This has taken all the guesswork out of it. I'm no longer sitting on the sidelines waiting for the perfect entry and missing the opportunity. Now, I've sold too early before. I've panic sold in a crash. I've hesitated when the price was low and watched it double without me. And every single time, the regret was worse than the loss I thought I was avoiding. If I had simply bought and held, my position today would be significantly larger. It's not that my early entries were bad. It's not my mindset wasn't ready for Bitcoin. Now, talking about different years, in 2013, I've seen a guy bought Bitcoin under $200. He sold at $800 thinking he was a genius. In 2021, it hit $69,000. In 2017, a colleague bought at $3,000 a Bitcoin and watched it hit 20k and refused to take anything off the table. When it dropped back to 6k, he sold everything in panic. 2018, 2020, a quiet accumulator bought every month through the bear market. By 2021, his position was worth more than his house. The difference wasn't luck, it was conviction and patience. Holding sounds easy until you try it. When your portfolio is down 60%, fear is not logical, it's primal. When it's up 300%, greed takes over and whispers, hold for just a little more. Without a plan, you'll make emotional decisions in both directions. That's why my strategy now is built to remove emotion completely. At first I saw Bitcoin as a way to get rich. Now I see it as a way to stay free. It's the only asset I own that can't be printed by a central bank, can be moved anywhere without permission, can be secured without trusting an institution. That's why I don't obsess over when to sell. For my core stack, selling isn't the plan. My rule is simple now. Stack Bitcoin, hold my core stack forever. If I need liquidity, I'll rather borrow against my Bitcoin than sell it, because once my core is gone, getting it back might be impossible, especially if the rich corner most of the supply. If I could talk to myself when I bought my first piece of Bitcoin, here is what I would say. Stop trying to time the market. You will be burned. Stop letting the media scare you out of positions. Learn self-custody immediately. Decide right now how much you will never sell. Now, let's talk more about big picture and the different cycles. In 2013, Bitcoin ran from $13 to over $1,000, then crashed 80%. The lesson? These drops are brutal but normal. The 2017 cycle from $1,000 to 20k, then back to 3k. Lesson: if you bought at the top but held, you still crushed it the next cycle. Now, 2021 cycle from 10k to 69k, then down to 16k. Now, the lesson: the crowd always declares it dead at the bottom. Here is what I've realized. Bitcoin isn't less about technical skills, and it's more about emotional discipline. If you can stay calm when everyone else is panicking and stay humble when everyone else is euphoric, you've already beaten 90% of the market. Now, this is how I stack. Core stack, never sold, kept in cold storage, built for generational wealth. Flex stack, small liquid portion that I can spend or use if needed. Dollar cost average automation, weekly buys that happen whether I'm paying attention or not. Also, I have a periodic review. I check my setup quarterly, not daily. This keeps me from overtrading and let time do the work. So why this lesson matters more now than ever before. With ETFs, institutions and wealthy individuals moving in, Bitcoin is getting locked away faster than ever. The float is sinking. The easy accumulation phase is ending. If I hadn't learned this lesson, I was still trading emotionally. I would be losing precious time while the supply gets tighter. The harsh Bitcoin lesson nobody warned me about. The hardest part isn't buying, it's holding. And the people who win are the ones still holding years from now, not the ones trying to trade every wave. That's why I buy, hold, protect, and let time do the heavy lifting.